Chelsea arrived this season not just with renewed purpose, entering as Club World Cup champions, but with rising domestic expectation. Under Enzo Maresca, the Blues are pushing from a distant fourth to genuine top four and possibly top three contenders. Their squad looks deeper and more youthful than ever, and Maresca has tactical flexibility that's now backed by investment. Chelsea did a fair bit of business this summer, mainly on the incoming side. Some of the players that they're bringing in are Dario Asugo from Sporting CP, who's a defensive midfielder. Breakout striker from last season, Liam Delap from Ipswich Town. It was a $30 million purchase. A great young forward, high energy, ready to challenge as their lead striker. Mamadou Sarr is an interesting center back from Strasbourg. He was only $12 million, but he's a young, physically imposing center back, and he's going to deepen their defensive options. Probably their best player that they signed would be João Pedro from Brighton. João Pedro is a powerful forward. He adds versatility, he adds goal threats, and he cost about £60 million, so they'll want to see some performance out of him as well. Another interesting player is Jamie Gittens, who's a attacking midfielder or a winger from Borussia Dortmund. He was about £50 million as well, and he's really a dynamic attacker, so I think he'll add a lot to their squad. They also purchased Estevao from Palmeiras in Brazil. I think he'll be incredibly interesting to see develop. He's a really young, high-profile wing talent. On the departure side, there's not a whole lot to speak of. They send out Kendry Paez and Mike Penders, who are both on loan to Strasbourg. But for the most part, they mainly purchase players. They spent quite a bit of money, so I know they'll want to see performance from a lot of these players, but I think they really filled some slots that they needed to fill as well, which I think is important. Chelsea has had a history of spending money for the sake of spending money, it seems. But I think they are employing a new strategy with this manager that seems to be a bit more effective, hopefully for them. As far as tactics are concerned, under Maresco, Chelsea's modern 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-3 builds on positional control and fluid pressing. But with these signings, I would expect some key evolutions here. For example, Dario Asugo provides midfield depth with improved cover. So I think that'll enable rotation behind Enzo Fernandez without losing structure. The most interesting to me is going to be Liam Delap and João Pedro. I think both of them combined create a flexible forward axis. Delap more as a rotating number 9, and João Pedro offering box presence or flank shifting. I think in addition to that, Gittens and Estevao add creativity and pace on both wings. So I think their attack is really shored up, and they have a wealth of talent. It'll be interesting to see how they rotate those players as well. In my opinion, the arrival of all of these forwards suggests that they'll morph from a more conservative build to vertical overloads with a ton of speed, press triggers from wide attackers, and faster transitions in attack. I think their defensive flexibility also increases. So expect 3-2 build in possession and mid-block press on regain, using Asugo and Caicedo to pivot. Maresca's key job, in my opinion, will be to balance their rotation, most especially given the Club World Cup hangover and the squad's youth, so it'll be incredibly important. Some of Chelsea's strengths include them having one of the deepest and most energetic squads in the league. They have pressure across all positions, and I think winning the Club World Cup builds some strong momentum. John Terry's recent comments underline a serious title mindset, and I think especially with those young players in the Club World Cup, I think they'll want to continue their success moving forward in the season. I do think, as far as their weaknesses are concerned, there are a few that stand out to me. Their preseason, for example, was shortened due to the Club World Cup. I think that puts the squad behind others as far as their fitness and their rhythm, especially when you have young players that can be problematic, especially early in the season. Levi Colwell's ACL injury will also remove a key defensive leader for much of the season. And we can't forget that Uefa actually fined the club £31 million for financial breaches, with more penalties that are possible. So future spending and compliance sort of remain concerns moving forward. Ultimately, Chelsea seem revitalized. They seem well-stocked. I know they're ambitious, but they're entering a title race with 3 ultra-consistent rivals. Right, we have Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, who I think will finish in front of them. I think their squad fluency under Maresca and their early season point drops potentially could tip the balance. So my prediction for Chelsea is going to be a 4th place finish. Champions League return. I think that the three teams ahead of them are just much more consistent. I think they have better managers. I think they have more talent. And it would be a huge ask for them to finish in front of those three. It's always possible, but I think they're going to finish in the between 75 and 80 point range. I think they'll have a strong season. I think they'll have deep runs in some of the cup competitions, maybe even silverware, in the FA Cup. But I do think the success they'll have this season will move them forward and make them strong contenders next season as well.